in defense of the police department. We're here in defense of all policemen.
Reverend Clegg,
we can...
excuse me, Reverend Clegg.
I'd like to answer the Reverend also.
He is the one that advocated that the police department join rifle clubs so they could get superior weapons to kill black people during the next revolution. Now,
I would like to answer him.
Reverend Clegg, let me just...
to understand the basic issue, which is still being avoided in Detroit.
You're avoiding my questions, Reverend Clegg.
Detroit has advocated superior weapons for the white police department, the Army of Occupation. He has advocated $9 million, and I'd like to have a witness say something about the Stoner rifle, which is the most deadly weapon ever conceived, that is now being purchased in huge quantities by the Detroit Police Department.
In 1962, Eugene M. Stoner, developer of the AR-15 M16 assault rifle, began work on a new weapons concept. He envisioned a new design to give a fighting man more firepower in a lightweight, versatile, compact package. A Cadillac Gauge Company engineering team headed by Stoner spent the next year designing a revolutionary weapons system that would become known as the Stoner 63.
We want to calculate a policy of policing that is based on the use of weapons against the citizenry. And I certainly, for one, would question seriously the basis on which such a policy is made.
Dr. Poussaint, have you got some reactions of your own to this kind of technique?
Yes, I have some reactions to that. I think it seems that police are more concerned with putting down riots and enforcing law, and don't seem to be concerned with some of the causes that are leading to some of the distress and to the riots. So they react with sort of repressive measures, and we're going to suppress more people, and we're going to kill them, and so on. Now, I think this whole question of these new weapons that police are getting is getting quite out of hand, and I think in particular, besides these rifles, the chemical mace, which is a tear gas spray that's been purchased in large quantities by many police departments around the country.
Before we go into the techniques and technicalities of mace, I want to interrupt to ask Mr. Parcell in Philadelphia, the president of the Detroit Police Officers Association, if he has any thing that he wants to say about this Stoner rifle in Detroit, the question that was raised by the Negro clergyman. Can you hear me, Mr. Parcell?
Yes, I'd like to just comment on the last gentleman that said that the police are getting more interested in riots and crime rather than in the causes. I want to tell this gentleman that the police officers, it's not his job for causes. We are supposed to be fighting crime and the riots or whatever the situation is. I think if we were allowed to do that and let other people handle the problem. But I have to go...
It's the culture. It is so deeply rooted. We talked about before, for instance, on the sheriff's department now, you know, they're real gangster, for real, literally and figuratively, right? There's 17 different cliques, they call them. The sheriff is calling them cliques, but they're gangs. The executioners, the Vikings, the regulators, the jump-off boys, the 3,000 boys, the 2,000 boys, these are gangs of deputies within the LA County Sheriff's Department. These are folks who have little time on the job and folks who are veteran officers. There is a LAPD SWAT supervisor, a sergeant who came out and spoke about the mentality within SWAT, which is a part of Metropolitan Divisions, the LA Hunters, right? The really badass on LAPD. They call themselves SWAT Mafia. So when you have this kind of a mindset, and understand every police chief was once a police officer. So again, when they get on TV and clutch their pearls, they're being disingenuous because they know that this exists. the undersheriff on the LA County Sheriff's Department, Paul Tanaka, is reportedly an executioner. And so when you've got this kind of stuff so deeply rooted, you understand it's not about to change anytime soon. And so that's why when these guys rear their head like Derek Chauvin and Garrett Wolf, who shot Rayshard Brooks, we need to quit playing whack-a-mole with these guys. We need to get them off the department. We need to have district attorneys or elected officials who will criminally prosecute. We need to then get on these juries, and we need to make sure that they get a penalty, a sentence that is commensurate with the kind of activity that they're engaged in. But it's a multifaceted approach. It's going to take some time to get there, but we have got to do something. We can't just keep allowing this to happen almost every month. If you look back to the beginning of this year, we're in the 8th month, and I could probably rattle off 8 names of folks that have been beaten or killed that we know about nationally. Forget about the stuff that doesn't make the news. We got to do something to have these elected officials hold officers accountable. Make them pay.
Yep. Gregory X. These shooters and their families bleed like everyone else. Locating their residences isn't rocket science. Greg.
So, what's up? So now, if you look at what Sergeant Dorsey said, she is a 20-year veteran of the police department. While white supremacy for the last, since the 80s, 90s, now, for about 3 to 4 decades, the white supremacist media have been driving in your head. If you are a member of a gang, showing on the TV, it's wrong for your children to become members of gangs, telling you do not let your child become a member of a gang. A gang is inherently evil. Gangs. But when we look at history, they kind of glorify their gangs, don't they? They glorify their gangs. See, black folk, we live in the matrix for real, many of us, and it's very important for some, as we wake up, even the ones that's woken, awake more than the average. You have to wake others up, because our agenda cannot move forward unless we have numbers. Part of every agenda is numbers. This is the reason why they take polls, because you have to have support. Numbers can destroy war efforts. Sometimes we have these misconceptions that politicians have the power. The power is outside of people. But the power is actually in our collective will. The collective will supports agenda items. Anything that the collective will of the people are opposed to, if we are opposed to, it takes great effort to sustain, or the people may out and out destroy it. So this is why the media is so important, because it galvanizes attention. And this is why black people, we need to be our own media, and we need to start to respect each other as when we tell the truth, because I don't believe nothing the police say. I know they'll mix in a few facts in there, but to me, if you take the line, because if you read newspapers and stuff, I just listen to what the police say to see what they said, and then I want to hear from the people what really happened. I don't believe the police. They lie. They are professional liars. They know how to lie and get away with it. As we seen from way back in the 60s. They would, they just lie. They lie like you fart. That's how easy it is. They just throw out a lie. That's the first thing they think of. They don't even just lie. So you allowed them, our people allowed them to make us think gangs were evil. Gangs are organizations. They're not evil. And they are they have a degree of militancy to them. A gang is a support system. And it's a gang of friends. Now, that's just like the white people, they love to glorify their gangs. They literally do this in front of our faces and we don't catch this. They teach their kids to Billy the Kid, Doc Rivers, Wyatt or guns, posses. But we're supposed to hate gangs, colors. They teach us gangs is bad, evil, killing, drugs. It's all gangs equal drugs. They literally equated them, and it's not true. Now the thing is, even with their gangs, they're criminals. You got Bugsy Siegel and Al Capone and Luciano and all these people. Their children transitioned into government. The gangs of New York, look at that movie. They transitioned into unions. Some of them. Lots of them transitioned into unions. Black people, they keep you on the gang level. They allowed us to, our collective will, they use their media to demonize our children, our people, us. And tell us that we need to stay away from gangs and do not be a part of a gang. Now, the gang should not sell drugs to its people, but, gang, they let us put all of our teeth in jail. So we help them to put our teeth in jail. Because the white people in the 60s, when we kicked their ass, they were not ready for that level of response from us. Like I told you before, they were not ready for that. So they were literally forced to make a deal with Martin Luther King. LBJ, look at his face. That man, he did not want Martin Luther King sitting there. And he just felt probably very, very bad. He made a deal. That's where the 501c3 came in. He made that as a senator so that the churches could not get involved in politics and keep the tax benefits. And this man, they knew that they studied us and realized that we had a connectivity because we grew up as friends in the neighborhood. If somebody touched one of us, they touch all of us, right? We had that kind of mentality, and that gang mentality. And it's really because they demonize the word gang, just call it friends. The organized mentality, a group of friends who were willing to fight for each other. If you got jumped in school, we all got jumped. Let's get them. That's how it is. That's all. So the thing is, you go out with your friends together, you go hang out. Black folks, these are the type of things we really don't have much. I'll say it like this. Anybody telling you don't have a chance, you can't listen to them. Because the rule of life is to survive. There's always a chance of survival. Opportunities come, you take them. And you survive. Nature does unpredictable things. One group is winning and now they're losing. Because if you look at the nature, you got a country here with with fires all on the West Coast. This is their breadbasket. California sends a lot of money to the United States. You got 2 floods, 2 hurricanes, beating up the money parts of the United States, the Gulf of Mexico. That's where your gas is. Louisiana, Baton Rouge, Texas. And then those storms will go up and create flooding all on the East Coast, right? Because they are low level because of global warming. So now what you're dealing with here is this country, and you got a stupid leader. And we are pissed off now. We're starting to learn more. So everything is coming together on our side. The nature is God. Nature is acts of God. These are events that are out of the control of human. You can't control it. You can influence it, but you cannot control it. At least I would say these are events that are out of the influence of your average knowledgeable, the Western world knowledge. Okay? So anyway, these people, they hate you. You better get that through your head. Don't feel bad. Learn how to love yourself, love your own people. You have to learn how to build consensus. You have to learn how to forgive your own self. You have to learn how to forgive your own people. You have to learn these things by learning your own history. If you're somebody who thinks that black history does not matter, you think that it's a waste of time dealing with some of the history, you cannot reach people the way they needed to be reached if you cannot give them the background. There's a lot of people, they need a certain amount of background. And we all need background so that we don't fall into the same steps, same traps. So we have a history here that we're dealing with. We're walking into a history. That's what we're in. So right now we're in the phase of the uprisings. They'll get worse and they'll get worse until we get to that point of negotiation again. And it's going to be hard because whatever happens to get to that negotiation stage, you know, you seen this white boy, he killed 2 other white people. What are white people thinking? Now they got to look at each other, you see, because it starts with us. But now white people killing white people on TV like that, you know, at first they thought, I'm sure a lot of them thought that, oh, this is because, you know, he just killed some other Black Lives Matter. But he killed 2 white people. It injured a black guy, I think. That's why they quickly charged him with murder. But see, now, this is not our community that's that angry over that. We're mad because of Jacobs and, you know, Jacob Blake, and we're mad because, you know, now they done killed the sergeant. Now that should deal with, now that lets you know what's up with your military veterans. These white folks don't care, and you should know that from going into the armed forces. They're racist as hell. They restrict power from you. Even if you coon, you can coon and they will give you certain power, but they can always just take it away. They can always take that power away from you. They give you power because you cooning, and as soon as you look like you kind of getting a little knowledge to yourself and trying to do good for black folks, they can take that power right away from you. They never put you in a spot where they can't fix you when you start acting like yourself. So, you know, so they went down there. They were told, according to the stories, they were literally told that this brother, this sergeant, highly decorated sergeant, he had been suffering PTSD. His family did not want to call the police because of the situation. They called the Red Cross because he was having episodes. The Red Cross called the police. The police knew he was a veteran. They knew the situation. They came there. They killed him. They don't care. They don't care. They come there and they kill you because that's all they know, to murder you. Why do they hate black people? Why do white people hate black people? I'm not talking about the one white person that says they don't hate. I'm talking about why do white people hate black people? So don't get that one guy out your head, your friend. We're not talking about that one. And the thing is, though, if that one was truthful, they hate when black people are themselves without white folks have a lot of behaviors they're gonna have to get clear up too, because they literally think that we're supposed to kowtow to them and be grateful to them if they are nice to you, just like a normal human. If they treat you normal, you're supposed to kind of be, loyal to them. And if you start talking up for your people and being loyal to your people, that white person who's your friend, they feel threatened some type of way. Sometimes they feel some type of way. Now, there are very few white folks that you can speak up for your people and really be for your own black folk people and love yourself. You don't have to hate others, but loving on yourself, doing right, and doing right for yourself usually puts you in a position of opposition to most of these people called white. But there's some that's not. Most of them, though, if you start talking black and talking pro-black, even if you're not talking anti-white or hatred of white, that is something in that white person's heart that's going to kind of turn up and start looking at you strange. So to me, this is something that they have to work on. Gangs and the police. We put all our gangs in jail. So now, all we got out here is scientists, non-risk takers. We got lawyers and politicians, and we got a bunch of kids, but all our OG gangsters in jail, broken, in jail, sitting up in jail when they could be regulating. That's one of the police gangs as well, the regulators. That's a gang of police officers. They're members of these force they're police, but they're gang members. I mean, y'all, we don't see it because we don't see ourselves as a nation. Too many of us see ourselves as Americans. You got to realize, American is a government, and this government kidnapped us. You got to understand that. You think that the civil rights made you, that's in your mind. You have to realize that the citizens who took this country, their offsprings, they were teaching their children, you are not, you slave. Y'all, those black ones over there, they are slaves. They are our slaves. We need to protect ourselves from them because they will get mad at us one day and they will kill us. That's why they're angry at you. They have so much hostility toward you. Especially they feel threatened when you get a little bit of money or something, or it look like something good happening to you. White folks get threatened. Look like you're getting a little benefit here. You're getting a little reparations. We can't have that. Y'all will kill us. That's how they think. We better get that through our head because we got to understand who's going to be fighting us. The black folks that fight us, these people are very confused because they think that if they're on the side of the white people, they're going to be on the side of the winners, but they don't understand the history, because every time the white people win, the sellouts they just get killed. You get killed last, you get skint, you get embarrassed, and then you get killed last. So they just toy with you and then they murder you. But they'll walk. They'll, the resistance movement. They either leave if they can't win the battle, they leave, or they get killed quick. But those who turncoat, they get enslaved, which I guess that's what the coon wants. He wants to be enslaved. And sometimes, just like the Native Americans, they get sent to the same spot that they get sent to the same place that the other the resistors got sent to. So the resistance gets to kill the coons. So anyway, you know, I'm just getting us to think about this. Just look at it. You got to look at black folks as the whole. We are a separate group. We have to have our own territory because our own land was taken from us because of this enslavement thing. And so that's the negotiation that we're going to have.
On the wall, he was talking about justice, and he was talking about slavery. I want to give you a little study assignment. There were some things when he wrote the Declaration of Independence that they took out, because he was dealing with King George as a vile man because he trafficked in black bodies, bringing them to America. I want you to go read his words, because Thomas Jefferson knew that if the slaves were not set free, one day what King George did by bringing us into slavery would cause the slave to rise and fight against those who were holding us in slavery. We have really come to that point now. Did you hear me? See, this thing has reached the point of explosion. Black people that are here, even those in high places, are saying we can't take this much longer. There's like a volcanic eruption that's coming now. You know, they say volcanoes are birthed out of magma, that is molten rock with gases, and this molten rock and the gases at the bottom, then you have an upper crust that begins to come down and meet the molten rock beneath. I said, isn't that an interesting picture? Because I hear you that are in the middle class crying out. Ain't too many middle class people here, but even if you were, you crying. Because the middle class is becoming the new poor. So that's the upper crust coming down to meet the magma below. It's bubbling now. And gases are coming up. And you see dust coming up from the sleeping volcano that has been asleep so long you play around it like it don't have power to kill you. You play with the lives of poor people, indigenous people, black people, women. You play with the lives of soldiers who have given their lives on a foreign battlefield only to come home and be rejected and die while they're waiting for treatment and service. Why are you saying this in front of the Capitol, Brother Farrakhan? I want to show the world hypocritical America. that is telling everybody that they're violating human rights, while in America there's all this dissatisfaction.